with Les Garner.
Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Dirk Manning here, the writer and creator of numerous comic books and graphic novels, including Nightmare World, Tales of Mystery, Brave But Not Dead, all kinds of stuff. And I am super excited for you because you are getting to watch right now, right this moment, out of all the things we're really going to be doing, you're getting to enjoy and revel in the Madness Comic Network. And that is awesome. Thank you for being here.
All right. I think we're on.
Yes, we are on.
Hey, Pops. My little thingy's not going away here. Ah, there we go.
Nice.
All right.
you gotta let it.
Your thing
Gotta
is not
let
going
it
away.
play,
This is so funny.
and then it'll go away.
I made it too damn long. Well,
Les was
good
talking
morning,
about it
folks.
when he.
Good morning, folks. We're back for yet another one of these things. Meanwhile, I've got
Yes.
my DMs are going off the hook behind the scenes, so that's always fun. Like bing,
Wow.
bing, bing. It's like, people, please stop.
Your DMs, is that like a dumb monkey? What?
Oh, was that you? Say something, Charles. I think there was like some weird clickety thing going on.
A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah, you've got some issue going on there, man.
All right, I'll turn the mic on every time I need to talk and turn it off when I don't
Well,
need to talk.
It's not. It's actually when you talk, there's a mechanical noise coming with it. It's like you might need to hop off and hop back on.
Hold on, let me see. Let me do something here.
It's coming from inside your computer or phone or whatever you're using.
Okay, is that gone now?
No, it's
Okay, it's from outside. It's the air conditioning. So you'd be hearing it regardless.
Yeah, it's not though, because it's like you're not even going to hear it. It's a digital click, and it comes from inside the hardware you're using.
Okay, well, then I'll just be on silent.
Yeah. All right. What were we going to work on today? I mean, you can pop back on, but it's going to be a little clicky.
Oh yeah. It was Kremen. Maybe the cover for Kremen. Hopefully you read the script.
I have not gotten to read shit, dude. I've been busting out drawings. I've been.
Yes, I know.
Oh,
I know.
I've done in the last 24 hours. I've done 20 some ink sketches.
Wow.
On top of 2 pages for Mike. So
yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I've been burning the stuff out, man.
Well, that's because you're a genius, you know.
I got a mountain of work that I got to get done.
Yes, otherwise you'll be in trouble.
Oh Lord! Oh my God! I like the RW speech is one of my biggest annoyances in life.
What?
When people change their R's for W's.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! It's like breaking glass next to my ear when people do that.
R's to W.
Yeah, one of my kids did that when they were little, and I literally would spend hours with them teaching them not to do that.
Well, give me an example of what that would sound like.
Like when you said twubble. Oh my God, that goes all over me.
Oh, I see. I
mean, I literally feel the hair stand up on my neck when I hear some.
God, I am so good at annoying Les, and I don't even have to try.
I hate that so much. Oh my God! Yeah. One of my kids did the R's as W's thing when they were real little, and I sat them down and I was like, say an R. They were like R, say an R, say an R. Okay, and then I forgot what it was, and then I was like, I'd say a word like say red. And they'd go wed. And I'm like, no. Red. And I literally sat and trained this child of mine. I won't say which one child comparison, but I was like, you are not going to have a speech impediment.
That's
going to work through this. Because it just drove me nuts. Oh, now, come on. Carrie says, let's say horror just was horror once. Horror.
Yeah, horror. What? Yeah.
Yes, would I prefer?
Is a prostitute? What?
It was like would you like a horror beer? A horror.
Oh my
beer?
God, that's great.
Horror beer. I just need to make a brand of beer called horror beer. So you can ask people if they want a horror beer.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's terribly stupid, but oh.
Wow. Now recently, Liquids Company.
Let's see. I'm looking through the chat here and just clicking stuff because it's one of those mornings. Yeah, Carrie. Say horror just once. There, horror. There you go. That's one of the needs to be a better word for that. Horror.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
Do you want a whore or beer?
let's see here. Let me just tuck away a couple things I was working on so that. Well, I know you were wanting to talk about a cover for your Kremen book. I still don't get the title of that. I still don't get that character's name.
Kremen. It was a joke on the Kremlin years ago. And Kremen this is before the multiverse stuff became like old and tired. I came up with that concept of a character who would travel between dimensions in a great continuum war to try to ensure the safety of his own world. During the continuum war, one faction feels no other realities have a right to exist. And this other faction is a very evil faction. They work to corrupt key worlds to ensure their existence. And Kremen works to stalemate them both. But, sometimes I might have a world where, Kremen could actually meet with Apocalypse Girl, help her out, work on something, and then he literally would punch through the dimensional vortex or a realm phase, and then he'd go to a different world. And I could, and it's a way, it's like, oh, I'm getting bored of this genre, let me go to a different one. And I also gave the character the power of quantum will. So if he believes that there's something behind his back that's mechanical, he could pull it out, ranging from usually bizarre machine guns, weapons, pieces of equipment. And as he travels between multiple dimensions, he may touch a lot of things, and that allows him a quantum connection interdimensionally. But sometimes he may pull something out that'll see his own hand appear, grabbing the item, and then he realizes he has to let it go to keep a temporal and dimensional consistency, which can mess him up sometimes. But basically, yeah. But as long as he's wearing something draped over him, he could pull something out. If he needs to pull out a jet airplane, then he puts on a very giant blanket.
Oh, Jesus.
And I also thought, well, go on.
Oh, no. I was thinking about just getting into some drawing basics today for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you could do a Kremen rough.
I'm swamped as hell.
Yeah.
And I need to look up that character.
You got two comic books in your office.
Yeah, somewhere over on the other side of the shop. I won't have to leave the camera to go look for those.
Okay. So basically, it's like, imagine a cross between Punisher, Spider-Man, and Doctor Who. And the guy is 6'6".
Well, there's one of those three things I like.
Yeah.
I like the Punisher. I can't stand Spider-Man or Doctor Who.
Yeah. Now, one thing about Kremen, though, is he has a no-kill, but he has no problem with maiming. And let's say that you're a really evil person. He might inject you with a serum to block your hippocampus from working, so you can't make more memories. Then use something else to dissolve your personality and just leave you as a vegetable. If you're really bad, But yeah.
I need to share.
Yeah, but imagine me with superpowers and that I can aim at anything. He could ricochet bullets off of anything to basically do most any effect. And he has a regen computer, so he literally could have pieces of his body blown off, and using apoplastic cells, he'll start to regenerate. That's in issue 3, when he battles Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Now that would be interesting to show that page if you could, because that was a 13-panel page. And what I thought was fascinating, when I upgraded the art, instead of doing it myself, I hired the late Nivard Twazin, Filipino gentleman. His draftsmanship is very clean, but it was very beautiful for the time, and it I felt brought my book to a professional level. But what
cool.
really, yeah, and what was interesting about that time was I discovered a magic number for copies to sell, and you can make a full living doing comic books.
Huh?
Have you figured that out?
No, I typically I just mostly do contract work.
Okay. Well, if you could sell 3,000 units, and this was at the $4 model, selling it directly, you could make $12,000. If you take 12,000 times 6, doing a book bi-monthly, that $12,000, 60,000, 6 times 2, that's $72,000 you could gross a year, which back in the early 90s could be a decent living. And
these days, that's a decent living. I mean, if you're not where you're at, it is anyway.
Right.
You live in one of the most places I know.
Yeah. And the thing that has really changed with the industry, which I found fascinating, and there's some weird little things too. I won't say how I got it, but I got a hold of Marvel Comics Ad Kit.
Huh.
And that opened up the entire world for me. I mean, back in the early days of the web and things you could do, which could be labeled as interesting. But I got their ad kit and I discovered a formula that Marvel does. I'm currently going to a doctor's appointment. Yeah. And then I'm free after that for months. But they were charging $60,000 per ad. They claimed they had a 6.5 million print run. And I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. And then there's a different price for the covers, for inside cover, inside back cover, and center spread. But just for the sake of conversation, $60,000. So one of the books during December I counted 20 ads, 22 pages of content. So I added that together. Right. So if you add it all together, that came out to about $1.5 million, or around there. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, and I'm not going to calculate since I'm driving. But what was just nuts was, okay, I calculated the cost of the art. I calculated the cost of printing, especially with that type of volume, and how they would do the print run is they would start the presses, let's say with Les Garner's Incredible Hulk. I'm pretending that you drew Incredible Hulk. And then after they print 30,000 units, they stop the presses, they take out all the plates with all the Hulk art, then they put in Les Garner's Punisher. And then they start the presses again and print, 80,000 books. Stop the presses. So all the ads are identical in every book, but the content is different because you have the different covers and the different insides. And they would call that print run for their sales reps 3.5 million units, which I just thought was just mind-boggling. So when all is said and done, they are at a profit of close to $1 million. They could give the book away for free and they would make $1 million a month. But with the book selling and using the direct model, and the amount of books that are sold and going that way, and then to retailers, they net profit about I think 15 to 20,000 per book per title.
That was a long time ago now. Because nowadays they're not profiting like that. They're not doing anything like that.
Well, I think that if they dealt with stories that just entertained, if they just stayed with the comic books being soap operas for boys, is basically all it is. Adventures and soap operas for boys. And by taking that away, well, you don't have the right formula for success anymore. You've destroyed it. It's like, okay, so that's why us indies, seem to be doing well, because we are able and willing to tell stories that we want to tell, instead of saying you are bad and evil for existing.
Yeah.
Melanistically enhanced or melanistically deprived.
We all know, where all that stuff goes. So.
Yeah. So we don't need to talk about that aspect.
You're in your car. Aren't you?
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting slapped back.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll try to but go pick up the Kremen, take a look, and ask questions.
Yeah, I'm not going to step away from the camera right now, but I am drawing, and it should be where we go. I forgot to put it on the damn thing. Here we go. Let's put that up there. So I found a couple of things that I could reference and just kind of pull from. Sort of interesting. Yeah, I was playing around with just a character sketch here in the Clip Studio. This Clip Studio is freaking awesome. Yeah, if I didn't like having originals to offer people, I do like having originals of things, but man, just working digitally in Clip Studio is just too awesome. Go. We'll throw a ruler out here. Probably one of my favorite things in Clip Studio is the rulers. So like a circle ruler. Let's put that right there. Move that around a bit. Yeah. Cut that and put it in its own layer. So then let's duplicate this layer.
It is quite fascinating seeing your interpretation.
Now let's come here. Do that.
On a small note, the sponsor for the comic is very excited about this.
No. Well, that's cool.
And he has become a rabid fan of you.
No. No. I thank him. And yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Let's see.
There's so many jokes that I want to make. My friend, and he's a writer for the latest book, James Thompson III, and he works for Parks and Recreations, and is literally on this in a government building that has 3 sevens, and he's on the 7th floor.
Knowing someone who has the third in their name, that's just wow. There's something really funny about that. And I'm not even
I
sure.
know. It's like awesome and bizarre at the same time.
It's funky. It's very funky. Oh, so yeah. After the stream, I'm going to be stepping out to go hopefully pay off what is the last of my my traffic ticket fines. That's a fun one. So yeah, I really, really prefer penciling digitally because there's just so many tools that I can use here that I really like having like the rulers. Like here's a neat one. Check out so the parallel curve, and you're slapping back. Pops is probably going to have on that. So like with the parallel curve ruler, you're slapping back. That echo is. Let's see here. Anyway, yeah, so like right here is the parallel curve ruler. You draw a curve, and then once it's drawn on there, of course, you can follow that ruler, but then it will, you can keep drawing these lines that follow that ruler on further out. And it's really handy. That's like one of the little tools, little tips and tricks kind of thing. I love that. Anyway, let's see. So I was thinking about characters here.
As always, your skills are impressive and intimidating.
No, thanks. Let's go here. I find that I end up with these little habits when I'm doing hair, like crazy hair. And I have to watch myself so that I keep the shapes and strokes varied. And the way that Clip Studio swings the, you can swing around and rotate. I mean, you can rotate like that in Photoshop, but I set my back rocker button on my pen to be my rotation, so I don't have to like go over here and hit a tool or anything or hit a key command for it. I can just just do it.
That is damn cool.
Uh, on something like this that I'm going to ink myself, I'll probably, this is actually more penciling than I would normally even do, because once I have kind of the general flow of what's going to happen, then I know where the ink's going to go, and I can just go straight to ink. It's funny how much of what I do really was kind of influenced by my time doing t-shirt shops and airbrushing. There's like certain types of strokes that you do with an airbrush, that you learn with an airbrush, especially the S stroke. It's this thing that you end up, it gets weird how often you see it in things, like how often that's a thing. Like if you're drawing a character, you can use an S for their spine and then down to their hips quite often. You know, like if you're doing, you know, some kind of a chick or something. So there's just a lot of cool stuff with that. But it's one of a handful of little shapes that I find are very common through a lot of things. I think I'm letting my 90s show. All these little lines going everywhere. Something I think I want to pull up real quick so I can show it, since I was working on it last week on the stream, is the cover that I did for Corissa. And I was hammering that out on stream. So let's just crack that open real quick. Yeah, there's what came out of that from last week. Very happy with that. That was a fun piece to do. I wonder if I still got the pencils in there. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm real happy with the way that came out. I think that my colors on it. Yeah, I went ahead and colored it up for her. I really like that. Zoom in so you can get a good look at the main character there in all her glory. That was fun. Oh. Oof. Let's see here. Nah, don't want to be sharing that. So let's see who all's on here. Carrie says mix Punisher with Candyman. You saying whore beer? I'm saying whore or beer. It's like, you know, do you need a little personal time with somebody, or do you want a good drink? Let's see. All right. Oh, pardon me. Whew. Let's come back over here and think about some shapes on this. I tend to think about thickness in things that I'm drawing. So like a lot of folks will probably do like the collar off of a big coat like that, just boom there and go. But I'm thinking about the actual thickness of the shape, and then little things about how the light's gonna play across it and all that kind of stuff, because I'm like that.
As always, in awe and impressed. You're just goofing around sketching.
Pretty much. Let's see. Oh yeah. Let's go there. And
If you could draw any character that isn't yours, and they said you could have carte blanche, which one would you draw?
Captain America. I mean, well, if I could draw it and write it, if it's just like, hey, we want you to do a Captain America book. That would be a dream come true, because I think that is probably the most criminally misused character.
I have to agree with that.
So, and I really, really like that character. I think in the first Avengers movie, when I think it was in the Avengers, was it? Yeah, it's in the Avengers when he's getting the ride to I forgot what their big ship thing is called, but when he's on the little plane with Coulson, and Coulson tells him he's taking the liberty of updating his uniform, and Cap says, "Don't you think the stars and stripes might be a little old fashioned?" And Coulson says, "Right now, I think we need a little old fashioned." I love that line. That is the greatest line from any Marvel movie in my mind. And I really would love a chance to impart that vibe to the actual Captain America comic. But, the odds of that happening are somewhere between haha and hell no.
It'd be interesting to do a Captain America style parody the way that you want to do it.
There are some things I don't want to do parodies of. I mean, like Captain America, I actually
use the wrong word, an homage.
Maybe I'm not big on doing that stuff. Like I see people who are like, oh well, it's kind of I see too many times in comics, and especially outside of the mainstream, outside of Marvel and DC, where you can look at a character and go, oh, okay, that's the Punisher, or that's this character plus this character. It just is. It's just what it is. And I always find that incredibly boring. Just intensely boring. I'm like, come up with an original idea. Don't just crib from your influences. I don't like that.
I have to agree with that.
It's way more difficult to just come up with something fresh. And it takes more courage, because something fresh, the odds are highly likely that it's going to suck, because the odds are pretty much likely that anything's going to suck. Things tend to suck more often than they actually come out good. So if you're taking the chance of creating something fresh, trying to create something new, then you are really testing the odds. And that takes a combination of, like, you've got to have confidence in what you make, you've got to have, I don't know, it's like maybe a little bit of confidence, a little bit of dumb arrogance. I don't know, but you've got to believe in it. Like
when I
really,
developed Kremen, I just did what I thought would be a fun sci-fi character, a pseudo parody, but it wasn't. And I wanted a character that I could just literally, when you're 20 years old, you have different aspirations. And my aspiration was to make this character appear in comic shops. I mean, through comic books, through all the independent books, this book, that book, because that's one of his abilities. In fact, he's in a Magic the Gathering card, by the way, which I thought was very funny.
That is funny.
But and James found the character so unique at the time that he's developed a 400-page role-playing game with rules, world generation, everything. So that's something that after we catch up on what we're doing, will be a fun project that I think will be cool. And like I said, James is so giddy that you're going to be doing the art for this on that. So he just can't stop talking. But yeah, on my way.
Let's see. Don't need to fill all that in. Yeah, I think it's always been difficult for me to like peel apart my sort of aspirations, what I would like to accomplish, what I would like to do, to peel that apart from, I guess, commercial reality. And I'm pretty good at doing commercial stuff. I mean, I can be commercial as hell, but what I want to do is, like something that started out as goofball in a way, as Apocalypse Girl. What I really wanted out of it and what I've gotten out of it, or where it ended up going, it became incredibly serious. And I really like that. I like that happened. So I tend to take, like, the project that you and I have been talking about with Sam. I'm not going to drop the name of it publicly yet because the name of it is kind of important. But that's a goofy project, and that's got more fun, I guess, more of a fun side to it than I usually do. I think I was way too influenced by Alan Moore. But I can remember as a kid when I figured out, and I think I was already stumbling onto it before, but when I figured out just how powerful a comic could be, and that that the storytelling in a comic could really be just as powerful and interesting as a novel or a film, that always stuck with me. So I probably come at the stuff with I try not to turn it into like a snootiness or anything like that, but I really like doing stuff that I can feel much more, that I feel like has some weight to it, some gravitas, There are some ideas that I have that are, see, it's funny because I'm on here and I'm like inching towards talking about stuff that's like, that really shouldn't be out in public yet. But anyway, I think this guy's coming out pretty cool looking. Let's see. I'm gonna pop back over here for a second after I write this image all up here. Let's pop back over here for a minute. Let's see. Just popping over and checking out comments and what all's up there. Cool. Whew. Let's see. This would be kind of neat. Oh, I'm getting sleepy.
With all that yawning, we'll call you Yanni, less Yanni. What's interesting is the way that you're doing Kremen. He looks more scientist, which is interesting.
He looks like a very wigged out Doctor Who.
That's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah. When I did the character, I imagined that he could go toe to toe with Reed Richards, for example. With the Punisher as badass with fighting. And his favorite mode of transportation is a motorcycle.
I've got this.
There's another comic that Les is going to be doing, Elizabeth Bathory, and I think that's going to be amazing. I mean, some of the assets.
That's on my list of things to finish up. I've got a whole pile of stuff that's like sitting here that needs to get done so I can clear my plate.
Now, I'd like to ask you, for up and coming artists and writers, how do you organize the plate and how do you fill the plate so that you have to organize it?
Oh, how do you fill it? That's the golden question right there. That's how do you fill it? You spend 30 some odd years out there beating the damn ground until you get enough work that it's filled. I mean,
well, like for example, did a lot of these gigs happen because you did conventions?
About half. I mean, you have to do the conventions, which, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I really liked them, but now I'm not as big a fan of doing shows. I mean, a good show can be a blast, and a bad show makes you not want to do any more shows. So, and the last show that I did was FrankenCon. It was a horror show over in Knoxville area, Alcoa, Tennessee. And it was great. It was fun. It was well organized. Everything was, and then the folks who were hosting me for it were really great. Like it was a great experience. I was very happy about that one. But you know, sometimes shows can be terrible. But it's like you got to do them. It's part of it. It's part of the gig. So, you know, just get to know your showrunners as best you can, and then try to have a good rapport with people, and hopefully you get into some shows that have some people showing up. So, because the thing with shows is, like, I think there's 2 frames of mind for a show, maybe 3. There's one where you're going and you're trying to sell. You're trying to get people to buy your prints, whatever books you've got, whatever merch you've got to sell. You're actually there to sell. Okay, that's mindset number 1. Mindset number 2 is promote. So maybe you've got a book you're working on and you're just going to, like, put copies of stuff out, put some artwork out there, and get people to see it, hopefully signing up for mailing lists and all that drag that goes on. Okay, and I wish I could do more of that. Wish I could afford to do more of that. The thing about doing that kind of a show, or doing that kind of an event, is it's all upfront cost, and the yield from it is quite possibly intangible. I mean, you may be able to quantify it by getting emails and things like that, but it's a shot in the dark. You're out there just to get people to notice you, which is a little similar to sales, but you're not necessarily selling anything. And those 2 things can go together. Actually, all of these mindsets go together, and I find that they end up going together. So then, for me, the third mindset, and this is actually how I started doing shows, was I didn't do a show back when I first started many, many years ago. I didn't go to shows and set up a table to try and sell my stuff. I wasn't even remotely interested in that. I went to make contact with people who I could get to hire me. That was it. That was the only reason I did shows back in the 90s. And that is a thing. Like, you could have a product you're going to sell, or you can be out there to promote, but there's always the opportunity of setting yourself up to be able to get work from somebody. And I kind of go into all of this with that in mind, because that, more often than not, is what has allowed me to make my living. So that's my thought on that stuff. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm really going to focus on this stuff over here, because I just want that to be a nice big black shake. All right. See, I'm thinking, I don't know, just there was something you had said about the character, and I was like, wouldn't it be wild if there's like light streaming out of his jacket? Like the jacket's buttoned up, there's still light spilling out of parts of it. And that plays to a thing I like doing, is I like playing light, playing with the positives and negatives. Let's see here. where I did that, the ruler earlier, we can set that to show in all layers. Let's see if those conflict. So where I penciled that with those rulers there, those rulers are still present in my layers, so I can just come in here and should have my snapping turned on. Let's see which one it wants to snap to. Let's hide this one. There we go. Wait. All right. Show that one. Hide that one here. Even though I could just do one, copy it and paste it, I really prefer to like ink both of them separately so there's variance in the line weight.
Oh, that's clever. I'm almost done with the doctor.
Ah.
Apparently, I got a fungal infection on my hands, and I had him check the two brothers just in case, and everything is fine.
Yeah.
But I might have a venal problem, so going to go through an ultrasound because I get a pain in the balls sometimes.
Ick. Oh, Lord, dude. When I start inking stuff, I tend to add more details to it and little things here and there.
Well, the thing that's really fun about you inking your own work is that you're able to treat the pencil, even though it's very full and vivacious, as a really good underdrawing. Now, if you were given somebody else's piece of ink, how would you approach that? And have you ever experimented with finding pencils online of one of your favorite artists and just practicing different inking?
Back when I was first learning Clip Studio, and this has been like 10, 12 years ago, I found some uninked pencils from Arthur Adams, and I used that as a basis to study on. And that was kind of fun.
That's super cool. Do you still have copies of it? It'd be fun to see that someday.
Maybe on a backup drive somewhere. All right. It actually makes me sleepy doing this. It's really funny.
All the inkers have a nickname for Kremen.
Wow.
Mr. Pain in the Ass.
I was going to say, yeah, see, that whole inverted thing, that whole white on black thing, there's a completely different way I would go about dealing with that most of the time. I mean, there's one very easy way to get that look, like right inside here, is just do a, let's see if we do
a scratchboard technique.
I'll do a fill layer. Okay, see how that's white and this is black over top of it. And then we'll do a correction layer that is levels. Level correction. And then we invert this like that. So no fuss, no muss, no having to worry with it.
When you had the layer turned off, it looked like Groucho Marx's mustache.
Yeah, pretty much.
What gave you some of the wild ideas for Elizabeth Bathory's bath? Because what we showed on that was just, I was awed.
I mean, it was just a medieval bath chamber. I mean, it's actually not even that creative. It was mostly just going and getting references. And then for that, I actually did a 3D model of it so I could always have reference from whatever angles I wanted. So I got my references and then I built the model. So funny. I used to be very anal about my lines, my little tick lines being very straight. And lately I've stopped caring and allowed them to be much more curved. And then I had someone comment that they were starting to see some Barry Windsor Smith coming out in my work. And I mean, I know they didn't realize that there was anything consciously going on, I guess. But yeah, as soon as they said it, I was like, huh, I can see that. You know, I can see that when I take away that rule that I had for the way those kind of lines work, that it starts to take on a little bit of Barry Windsor Smith type lines.
Yeah, Barry Windsor Smith. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times.
I've always liked his work. He's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, him and you know, I always go back to Bernie Wrightson, but I see Barry Windsor Smith as being kind of in the same school of thought as Bernie, with his kind of lines and the weight and just the way that he would create light and textures with lines. It's always so cool. Now, what's funny with something like this is, or one of the funny things that I caught myself doing years ago when I started working digitally, and I see it as a flaw in a lot of young artists' work, is that since you can, when you're working digitally, you can zoom in. It's very tempting to just get in there super close and let yourself get fixated on details and things. But I figured out that see, right now I'm at like 12.5%. So if you were to actually look at my screen, you'd see that 12.5% zoom is about the same. Like if I laid a comic book on my screen, it's going to be about the same size, so that I can look at it there and I can see and go, okay, those lines are too tight together, or I could put more detail there and it's not going to get lost. Since you can zoom in on things, people do it too much and then end up creating lots of little things that just get lost. At best, they just get lost, and at worst, they make the artwork get muddy.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think a fascinating skill to figure out is reductive, enlarging, like you work larger, but it's going to be reduced. And I look at some of the old plates and boards from EC Comics. I bought one of the oversized books, but that was the actual size. And it made so much more sense. And I realized working at that size is easier than physical comic book size. Now, Cynthia Martin, who drew a book for me, a roller derby drama, she actually draws and inks at actual size, which I just thought was bonkers.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never drawn comics at actual size, because I remembered, you know, learning. I mean, when I was in like high school, I learned about how pretty much all of the artwork for commercial purposes was done usually at least double the size, if not larger. So, I've always been working on 11 by 17 pages. Although I have seriously considered, after talking with Liam Sharp a couple times about it, I know sometimes he works at, I think, 22 by 34. And
why so large?
Because he's just cramming all that detail in there. And I know Bernie Wrightson did that he worked at 22 by 34 quite often, or something around that size. Like, he wasn't married to a specific size, which, I kind of always have been. I've always done 11 by 17. Unless it's a painting. Now, with paintings, I like doing 22 by 34. I find that's a really good size that lets me get a lot of detail in, and it'll shrink down well. It'll look good, So, oh, man. And it is 11:01, so it's getting just about time that we can wrap this up. Let's see if Pops is on. So I'm going to push a little bit further into this drawing before I call it a day. And then once I get off here, I have got to go run some errands. Some stuff I'm not really looking forward to, but maybe we'll get a look at this guy here. It's some parts of this that would be kind of cool to see on stream before I have to go.
Hey, how is it now?
What, your sound?
Yeah.
You sound better right now.
Okay, I figured it out.
What was it?
Well, instead of using my normal phone audio, I'm literally using the wireless phone system of the car. So I'm now speaking through the car.
Oh, that's got
a Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's going to have noise canceling built into it.
Yeah, I gotta like get something, for the car thing to do it.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so weird seeing Kremen after so many years. Al Joseph Tomek did a version of Kremen, and one of the stories that I've developed is that Kremen was trapped in a fantasy universe for the past 30 years. And the myth I made up is doppelgangers are usually very evil, but they imitate the people. And a doppelganger captured Kremen, but because Kremen is able to regenerate, the doppelganger is able to keep Kremen alive. And normally, a doppelganger can take you for about 2 weeks, then you die. But imagine a doppelganger having a host for 30 years, and at first, the host was pretending to do good deeds because the character is a hero, Kremen is. And then after doing this, he's almost losing himself, except when he encounters another doppelganger and their true mission comes to fruition. But the doppelganger will assist with creating some tech that can help keep the other hosts alive longer. So what we see in the Cockrell's Fist universe is Kremen is actually doppelganger, and I give him a beard for that. So it's fun. But it's like when you first created your character, Apocalypse Girl, did you create her when you were in your 20s and finally got around to it? Did you just play around with ideas? I mean, how did your character that is the antithesis of you come to fruition? Or was there a different character? Was it a vampire character, a monster character?
Oh, well, with Apocalypse Girl, I mean, I don't even, when people call her Apocalypse Girl, it's like, no, that's just the name of the book. It's not a character's name.
Right.
I originally was going to do something that I thought was just going to be a fun throwaway book. That's what it was supposed to be. And I actually originally was designing the character and all the stuff with her to go as to become 3D products in the 3D space that I sell a lot of stuff in. So she was sculpted before she was ever drawn.
Oh, interesting.
And so were some of the creatures and things that are in the book. There's a lot. Actually, most of the characters in that book and some of the environments and things were sculpted before they were ever drawn.
Wow.
And it, I started playing around with it, doing a comic, doing some pages here and there. And the way I like to say it is Anna wouldn't leave me alone. And she became, it became a character that I just thought about all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, she became a vehicle for some very important bits of emotional catharsis that I needed to deal with.
Wow.
So, you know, Apocalypse Girl is a dead serious book. Like, it's I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here with some potential readers. Apocalypse Girl is not a fun read. It's
Actually,
not.
I found it enjoyable, but
It's enjoyable, but not. See, when I think of something as a fun read, I think of, oh well, this is a romp through a romping adventure through blah 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 blah. I have zero interest in that.
Oh, like the secret project we're thinking of working on, which is a parody.
Oh well, and that's different because it's also horror.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Most of the time, what humor that I have in things tends to come out in horror.
Interesting.
And well, it's one of the reasons why I've said for a long time that one of the mainstream characters I'd love to take a stab at is Shazam, because the Shazam that I would write, people would be like, "What the F is this?"
Wow.
Because, you know, I was an orphan, so was Shazam. And you have, like, one of the things I always loved, I mean, I loved it about Batman and Superman, both. They were both orphans. A lot of these major characters start as orphans, and that resonated with me because of my own background.
Yeah.
But Shazam was the only one where the actual, like, I don't even know if back in the day they did this. I don't think they did. But when, who was it? Tom Mandrake, I believe, in the 80s, one of DC's bazillion freaking reboots, they did a 4-issue Shazam series. And in it, the orphanage and him being an orphan and things about that actually figured into the story.
Yeah.
And I have always thought it was such a travesty of them not to deal with that more, to actually play into that, because, well, I mean, it's just an opportunity. And there's a lot of really dark stuff that they could do with it that would be difficult for people, but would be really great for the character. Let's see. Let's see. Is Pop's giving us the cutoff yet? Probably getting about time. So, Pops, you are welcome to tell me when to shut up. It's all right. If it's about time. I think it is. I know we've been on here for like an hour, and I don't know what you've got coming up next. So,
by the way, I've been very grateful, and starting next week, I won't have any conflicts.
Rocky wanted to say goodbye.
Well, Kremen, welcome back to the universe.
Go ahead.
It's good to see you back in our realm phase. Les, thank you for helping to bring this to life. And Pops, thank you for being so cool.
I'm just doing what Rocky tells me to do. What, dude? Oh, yep, they're saying it's time, bud. They're saying it's time.
So,
get off that damn computer and come take care of me, Pops.
well, folks, it's been fun. We'll catch you next week. Till next time, let it roll, Pops.
Peace out, everybody.
Glamorized and embraced by Hollywood, feared in the underworld, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was one of the most powerful men in America. He was also one of the most hated. The man who gave birth to Las Vegas was gunned down in the luxurious home of his glamorous lover. Almost 80 years later, his murder remains unsolved. Who killed Bugsy?
Of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Baron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Available now at baroncomics.com.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands are
Have a good night.